Please join me in welcoming Dr. Isabelina Rodriguez. And you can hit the button and it'll go to your side. And here's your phone.
Thank goodness that other picture came off that screen pretty quickly. Mike threatened to say that he was going to put the picture of me. They didn't tell me I was with them in Washington, D.C. Jay got up to offer me that seat. And then Mike proceeded to take a picture of me in that seat. So he threatened to put that picture up there, and I reminded him who the bureau chief was. Good morning, everyone. I'm so very happy to be here today. But before I begin my presentation, I wanted to take a moment to recognize some very important people. In particular, one very important person. As I understand it, she has had a Herculean task of running this bureau for quite a long time. In fact, when I started here, I was told it was somewhere between 3 and 4 years. The longer time I've been here, it's grown in length of time, somewhere between 6, 7. I imagine the longer I'm here, it's going to be somewhere between 10, 15 years that she's been running the bureau, because there's been no bureau chief. But honestly, it doesn't matter what the length of time it's been. She has been here holding together the Bureau of Special Education. She has been the go-to person. She has been the strongest advocate. I've been watching, just in the time period that I've been here, watching someone who has really held the Bureau of Special Education as one of the most important priorities for her and for us. She has, and truly, I feel, because it's me, one of the most important things is she is the reason that I am here today. So I would like you to join me today to show a sign of appreciation and give a big thank you to Ms. Charlene Russell Tucker. Charlene, I understand you wanted to come up to say a few words.
Good morning, and thank you. I am extremely pleased to have Dr. Rodriguez here with us, and looking out in the room, I said to her when I came in, so this is your room. So I am pleased that she's here, and I just wanted to stand this morning to thank you, to welcome you here to the 12th Annual Bureau of Special Education meeting, and to thank you, as I always try to do, for all your work on behalf of all our children in the state of Connecticut, and on behalf of the Commissioner, who wasn't able to be here this morning, to thank you for your work and to welcome you to the day. I wanted to share with you, as you know, we try to do a lot of things, and I try to look to different places for inspiration. And I thought about a quote that I'll have you to indulge me as I read it with you, and it's about listening. It's about the importance of listening. And the title of the article is, "If you disagree with someone, try listening, not arguing." We often try to persuade others through argument. But arguing does not change minds. If anything, it makes people more intransigent. It turns out, through the research, and we're all people that go to the research, right? It turns out that listening is far more persuasive than speaking. When you're silent, you can better pick up on what's not being said, cues that signal how someone is feeling, and help you figure out how to respond. Because words can so often get in the way, silence can help you make these connections. So the next time you disagree with others, put your opinions away and try just listening. Let them speak into the silence and listen for the truth behind their words. Then acknowledge what you've heard, which is most likely more than has been said. And once the others feel seen and heard, then offer your view. There's a great article. It's called, "If You Want People to Listen, Stop Talking." And it talks about you have to use silence with respect. And it actually goes on to say there's so many good reasons to be thoughtfully silent that it's a wonder we don't do it more often. We don't because it's uncomfortable. Do you agree with that? Silence is uncomfortable. It requires that we listen to perspectives with which we may disagree, and sometimes we may have to listen to people that we don't always like to listen to. And I say all that as a backdrop to say I think we've spent a lot of years listening to you. And we continue to listen, and I say on the behalf of the agency that we continue to listen, and the 70,000, about that, numbers of children in the state with disabilities deserve nothing more than for all of us to collectively listen so that we can do what is best on their behalf. Dr. Rodriguez has been putting a lot of mileage on her car since coming to Connecticut, and she's working out her GPS, trying to find all the places in Connecticut. I know that she's been traveling to get to know you better, to find out more about your programs, and yes, to listen, because we all do benefit from that collective listening. So thank you today. As you have a program that talks about parental engagement, I am sure somewhere in that discussion you will hear how important it is for us just to listen. And not to listen and then walk away not saying anything. It's that thoughtful response that comes after we listen. So as we go through the day, I encourage us to listen thoughtfully and let that silence allow us to be thoughtful in our responses, and collectively as we walk away from here and go into our districts and to all the different places that we go, to think about the impact that we want to have and that we can listen thoughtfully. So thank you very much for being here, and have a great productive day, and more importantly, have a wonderful and productive year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlene. I'm so excited about today and the conference. I have to tell you that this conference would not have been possible without the hard work of Mr. Michael Tavernier, Stephen Prophet, and Linda Adorno. They worked so diligently to make sure that everyone was really organized and everything was done perfectly. I have been so impressed, and I know for a fact that as the day goes on, that you all will definitely agree with me. Could you please join me in a round of applause to thank them? And of course, a big shout out needs to go out to the CERC staff and our Bureau support staff for working behind the scenes to make things work, and a thank you goes out to them as well for their hard work. Most importantly, I have to say that the staff of consultants in the Bureau of Special Education, I've been really impressed with them and their hard work. I'd like to take the opportunity, though, before I begin to speak about the staff, to introduce one of our newest members. I forgot to tell her I was going to do this. One of our newest members who started just a month ago. Her name is Natalie Jones. If you would stand up, Natalie, so we can welcome you. Natalie is working in our due process office. I have to say that in true Special Education Bureau style, all of our consultants in the Bureau have been really working very, very diligently, and they have had true commitment to ensure that the work within the Bureau these past several years have continued. And it is because of their hard work, along with Mrs. Russell Tucker, that things have continued to work and move smoothly these past few years. But I have to say that additionally, because of their support and their commitment to me, since my arrival, they have made my transition here that much easier. I am so grateful to each of them and feel so very lucky and blessed to be working with such qualified and wonderful, wonderful folks. Can you please join me in thanking them for their hard work? Sheepers, creepers. I'm forgetting to do the slides. Thank you, Mike. Lastly, I can't go and say thank you to everybody without recognizing all of you. Your hard work, of course, is one of the reasons why we are able to provide the special education services to all the students within the state of Connecticut. Without your hard work, we would not be able to provide the kinds of quality services and programs to the students with disabilities, as Charlene recognized earlier, to the 70,000 students within the state of Connecticut. I would like to take a moment, though, to recognize all the new first-year directors, I'd like to ask all our first-year directors to stand up so we can recognize you. Can I ask you to stand up one more time? Just stand up and stay standing just for a second. So what I want you to do is all of you, to the new directors, look around you. All of these folks are here to support you, and we in the State Department are here to support you as well. You're not alone. There will be days where you might feel that, having been there. And not everybody's saying, yup, yup, but know that you're not alone. Pick up a phone, look in the directory, even if you don't know the person, pick up the phone, look up in the directory and say, help, and they'll be there to help you. Please do that. Networking is incredibly important. Everybody in this room, look, these are new people. Find them during the breaks, introduce yourself to them, and offer to be there to support. You know what it's like to be a first-year director. Be there to support them. Now you can sit down. No. And congratulations. Congratulations. Well, now I'm starting my speech. Believe it or not, I've been here for 6 months. I can't believe it. I arrived to the department in mid-March to incredible, I won't say chaos, but incredible activity. But this is my first opportunity to actually meet all of you for the first time formally as your bureau chief. It's almost like my first quinceañera, being Latina as I am. I get to introduce myself as your bureau chief to talk to you about who I am. It's exciting. I'm a little nervous. But I'm really, really happy to be here. So, in true Latina fashion, I'm putting on my new shoes, and I'm introducing myself to you. So those of you who are Latinas and know a little bit about quinceañeras, you know that the little girl changes her shoes and puts on her heels and goes out and becomes a woman. So let me talk to you a little bit about who I am. I came to Connecticut with almost 30 years of public school experience. I have over those 30 years of experience working with children with disabilities. I have 11 years, I worked 11 years as a superintendent. Within those 11 years, I worked 7 years in a suburban setting and 4 years in a rural setting. 13 years in administration of special education, 10 years as a pupil services director. I've also done a variety of adjunct faculty classes, both in bachelor's and graduate level classes, in a variety of local universities in Massachusetts. All my career has been in Massachusetts, and I decided to cross the border here to Connecticut. So I'm new to Connecticut. I still live in Massachusetts. So I traveled in '91 to come here to work every day. And I absolutely enjoy the traffic. It's what I look forward to every day. But you know what? I have to say, and people in the Bureau have come to realize this, my professional side is only one part of who I am. The other part of, and equally important, is my personal side. I am also the daughter of Mr. Leonardo Rodriguez and Maria Carmen Rodriguez. I am one of 5 children of my parents, and I'm the middle daughter, or middle sister. I have 2 older sisters and 2 younger brothers, and I'm very proud to be part of this family, and if you ask my dad, I'm his special little girl. But I have to say that the role that I am most proud of and cherish, and will feel is the most important role that I cherish, is the role of mom. I am the mom of my daughter, Maria Danielle. And it's this role that I know that already people have gotten to understand, that I feel is the priority one, the most important role no one can ever take away from me. Being mom is the most important responsibility that I can ever hold. To me, family is the most important responsibility that I can have. And that's why today I feel it's so exciting for me to be able to talk about this, and that this is the theme for today's conference. Throughout my tenure as an educator, regardless of the position I have held, I've recognized the importance of the role of parent in the success of child's education. I recognize that children whose parents have been involved in their child's education have succeeded in education, have achieved higher in education than those children who have not had parents involved in their education. But I really believe that my own personal experiences have impacted my ability as an educator and how I've interacted with parents. My experiences as a second language learner and my experiences as a member of a low-income family. In particular, they have helped me recognize that oftentimes the impressions of educators and their opinions about the lack of involvement of parents in their child's education has been untrue. It's for these reasons that throughout my career, I have strived to involve parents as partners and families as partners in many different ways in order to make it possible for them to feel as trusted, welcomed partners in whatever I have done as an educator. In fact, recent research supports that family engagement is a crucial element for student achievement. They found that when parents are engaged with students and teachers, regardless of the background, students will earn higher grades and test scores. They enroll in higher level programs. They become well adapted to school and attend school regularly. They are promoted and earn credits. They have better social skills and behave better, and they graduate and go on to higher education. So you might be sitting there saying, okay, Isabelina, why are you telling us this? How does this apply to me as a director of pupil services or a director of special education? Why is this so important? Well, if you think about it, as special education directors or pupil services directors, we're always thinking about access to general education curriculum and ensuring equity of services. That will ensure that students are achieving academically. You are the leaders. You can impact change. That is why it's important for you to be thinking about this. Excuse me. Your leadership will help impact change. Your ability to collaborate with principals, central office administrators like associate superintendents, other directors, your colleagues, will help move this initiative forward so that we can increase the ability to make it possible to integrate and cause a coherency around a partnership and an alignment between the district and parents and so that there is a partnership between parents and staff. My vision as a bureau chief for this year is to shift how we are interacting as a state with families and how we are interacting as a state with parents so that we are shifting from parent outreach to one of parent partnership and parent engagement. If you think about it, partnership is a relationship. Relationships built on trust and respect. I realize that what I'm asking might mean that you are going to have to do things differently. But I know already in the short time that I've been here that many of you are doing this and doing this successfully. In fact, in a little bit, some of your colleagues are going to come up here as a panel and share how they're doing it successfully. And it's going to be exciting. I can't wait. In your handouts is an article from the Department of Ed, Federal Department of Ed, entitled Partners in Education, a dual capacity, I'm going to have to read it, I apologize, a dual capacity building framework for family school partnerships. It's a long title. That provides the work from the Chicago Consortium. In that work is a description of 5 elements that drive successful student achievement. The major successful element is leadership. That's the key, leadership as the driver to change. That driver to change impacts student achievement, professional capacity, and parent and community ties. It needs to be integrated together. Without all 3 of those things working together, you're not going to see student achievement occurring. If you have time, please take the time to read that little pamphlet or booklet. I ask you today, and over the next few days, to reflect on your practice. Do you lead with the drive to change? Do you create climates that encourage partnerships with parents, that create engagement with parents? Do you encourage partnerships within your interactions? Do you expect that from your teachers? Do you support your teachers in creating climates that encourage partnerships? Think about your policies. Are they respectful of the variety of cultures and needs of the parents within your community? Do they encourage parents to be active partners in their child's education? Or are they encouraging passive participation? What can you do to lead in an effective change as a director of pupil services? I have a story to share with you. I know I'm new to Connecticut, but I know that there are a few Massachusetts people out there that know that when I come up here to talk, I usually have a little story. And I can't find Nathan out there, but Nathan Ziegler knows me from Massachusetts, and typically that my stories ended up being what I call a Maria story. But today, my story is not about Maria. Today, my story is about a little boy named Nick. Nick was 8 years old. He had mild learning disabilities. And the special education teacher had been providing small group instruction as well as inclusion instruction. And the newly appointed principal had worked very closely with her school council to create school improvement goals that were in alignment with the district improvement goals, which called for parental engagement. By so doing, she asked her teachers to create ways to involve parental engagement within their classroom. So Nick's teacher decided to start having home visits. And the purposes of the home visits were not to be the typical home visits that some of you might be aware of, but actually were to introduce herself and to give the parents an opportunity to share dreams and wishes about their child. The principal also did a variety of parental engagement activities, and one of them were principal luncheons. And this particular principal luncheon involved families. She would decorate the cafeteria with tablecloths and cloth napkins, and the children were able to bring their family for lunch in the cafeteria. The principal extended that invitation to me and the special education director. And when the families came in, the principal and I and the sped director were able to circulate through the lunchroom, and the children were then asked to introduce their parents, their aunts or grandparents or whatever to us, to the principal and so forth. We were actually becoming part of the parental unit, and they were becoming part of the school community. The principal also created several other parental activities that created the ability for building community and parental engagement between the teachers and the parents and ourselves, so that trusting relationships were beginning to build between parents and teachers. It probably was late October, early November, that Nick was diagnosed with a terminal brain tumor. The family turned to the counselor and the teacher for support. The whole school rallied behind the family to raise money and to help the family with expenses. The special education director and I, because we knew this family, were actually very visible at all kinds of family events and within the school. We were also able to provide tutoring. We were there at the home to provide spiritual, home-cooked meals, any kind of support that we could provide. Throughout Nick's struggle, we continued to make it possible for Nick to receive whatever kind of support that he needed. And whenever possible, we brought him back to school, even if it meant for just a couple of hours, so that he was feeling it, that he was continued to be part of the school day. When Nick passed away about a year later, more than half of the building of staff and students were there in support of the family. Our goal always was to partner with the family in supporting them, not only in educating their child, but ensuring that he continued to feel like he was a student, always part of this family, school community family, as he traveled through this very difficult journey. We all miss Nick, and as a superintendent, I created an award in his honor, and on an annual basis, along with his mom, we awarded a teacher in his memory, awarded the teacher this award in his memory. I share this story as an example of how leadership can create change. The principal had aligned her school goal with the district goal of parental engagement. And then she placed that same expectation on the teachers, who then created parental engagement activities within her classroom that made it possible for the parents to feel welcomed within her classroom environment, that then reached out and involved central office community and the community as a whole. These goals or expectations were modeled from the leader to the staff to community members and involved parental engagement, and as a result, this allowed for alignment and parental involvement. Not all experiences will result in such extreme cases as this one, thankfully, but this exemplifies when a strong, trusting relationship is created, that in times in crisis, it is much easier for a community to come together to help solve a problem. This family was much better served as a result of this full school community involvement. But I have to say, so too were the teachers, administrators, and support staff were equally much better served as a result of the involvement of this family and our ability to travel this difficult journey along with Nick. I am glad we had this opportunity to be there with Nick on his last few days. And it's something we will all cherish, and I will cherish for a long time. This year, I'd like to ask you and challenge you to review your policies and practices. What has become routine? What can you change? What can you do as a leader to cause change? How can you shift your practices and policies? How can you make the shift from outreach to parents to engaging partnerships with parents? When you think about PPTs, what can you do differently to create partnerships? How about when you send out invitations? Can they be more engaging? When you call to set up an appointment with a parent, or more importantly, when you're calling and having that difficult conversation, how can you handle that in a more engaging way? How about the climate? in your buildings? How about with your staff members? What can you do to support your staff members in creating climates that are welcoming and trusting and supportive? I, too, will be working to improve our relationships with you and our parental communities. In fact, I've begun to work with CERC to help identify additional professional development opportunities to support you in your work. Also, with their help, I've created regional special education, and we haven't named it yet, although Kim has given me an idea. I forget what you told me to name it, but regional special education director, bureau chief meetings that I'll be going around the state so that we'll have opportunity to have dialogues in smaller group settings so we can have these important conversations in a smaller group setting. I'll be working with Concase and RESC to assist me in identifying spaces and sites. So if you're willing to host one of these dialogue forums, please let them know. So before I close, I want to close with one more slide. This is not parent engagement. This is an example of like a helicopter parent. Remember what we're talking about is not just singular parent activities when we're talking about parent engagement. What we're talking about is building parent partnerships. If we avoid activities like this and work towards building partnerships, I know that we will be successful. I wish you all a wonderful school year, and I look forward to meeting all of you as I go out to the districts. Have a great year, and thank you.
Thank you, Isabelina. And we're going